I grew up in an old home. And that's the sort of sentence that makes people imagine ballrooms, banquets, and silk gowns. But in my case, it mostly meant drafts, damp walls, and the occasional rat. The old home wasn't ours, of course. We rented it for next to nothing from a landlord who must have thought my father was still a famous novelist. Once he had been, his first book had made his name. And then nothing. The second never came. He'd retreated into a silent, private world, shut away in the gatehouse with crossword puzzles and the occasional dusty manuscript, while the rest of US found ways to stretch meals and mend clothes. Our family was small and a little lopsided without mother. She had died when we were younger, leaving behind more silence than we knew what to do with. My sister Lillian was the beauty of the family, soft-featured, fair-haired, the sort of girl who drew attention without trying. Then there was Peter, not a blood relation, but he'd been with us since childhood, doing odd jobs and looking after the place. He was tall, handsome, and hopelessly in love with me. I knew it, but at 17, I didn't know what to do with that sort of devotion. And then there was Emily, our little sister, only 4 years old. She had a mop of dark curls, eyes too big for her face, and the habit of following me everywhere I went. She was my shadow, my little confidant, my co-conspirator in all the small adventures that could be had in a drafty old home. And me? Clara Whitford. Not beautiful like Lillian, not fearless like Emily. Just a girl with a battered paint box, determined to capture the old home in brushstrokes. Every peeling shutter, every crooked window, every glint of sunlight across the moat. I thought that if I painted it all, I could keep it forever. Money was scarce. Our dinners were bread and cheese, sometimes potatoes. Candles were rationed. We went to bed early in winter because we couldn't afford to keep the rooms lit. Lillian dreamed of escape. I was content enough, until the spring Samuel Harper arrived. Samuel Harper. American. He had inherited Greystone Hall, the grand estate across the fields, from some distant English relative. The day he arrived, Lillian spotted his car from the kitchen window. She dropped her potato peeler and said, quite calmly, "I'm going to marry him." I laughed, but Lillian had a way of turning whims into missions. Emily, perched on the windowsill, just asked if he had any dogs. It didn't take long before we were invited to dinner. I remember walking into Greystone Hall for the first time. The warmth of the fire, the scent of roast meat, the glitter of glasses. It was another world. Samuel was tall, thoughtful, slightly reserved, with a quiet kindness in his eyes. Lillian's target was clear, Samuel. She was charm itself that evening, hanging on his words, smiling with just enough mystery. I tried to stay in the background, watching the light play on the silverware, memorizing colors I wanted to paint later. Emily sat on my lap, whispering questions about the size of the dining room. But Samuel had a way of drawing people in, even me. After that night, Samuel began visiting often. Walks along the fields, afternoons in our kitchen, evenings of music and conversation. Lillian worked steadily on him, her confidence unwavering. I caught myself watching him, noticing the way his voice softened when he spoke of books, the way he studied paintings in Greystone's gallery as if they might speak back. I told myself it was admiration, nothing more. Peter watched from a quiet distance. He never said a word, but I could feel his disapproval of Samuel. Still, he remained unfailingly kind to me, as he always had. Emily adored Samuel too. He would spin her around the kitchen until she shrieked with laughter. It was late summer when Samuel proposed to Lillian. I should have been happy for her. This was the escape she'd dreamed of. But I saw the flicker of doubt in her eyes, the hesitation she tried to hide. The engagement meant dinners, fittings, and endless talk of the wedding. Emily and I painted a picture of Lillian in her imagined wedding dress, though Emily added a giant dog beside her, because every bride should have one. Somewhere in all of it, I began to feel a strange ache, something between jealousy and longing. And then one evening it happened. Samuel and I were alone for a moment in the library, light spilling through the tall windows. He looked at me as though seeing me for the first time, really seeing me. Then he kissed me. Brief, unexpected, leaving me breathless. He pulled away almost instantly, murmuring something about a mistake. But my heart was pounding, and I knew then that I loved him. Lillian noticed. Whether she knew about the kiss or simply sensed the shift, I can't say. But her engagement to Samuel began to fray. There were quiet arguments. Awkward silences. Emily didn't understand, but she sensed something wrong. She would cling to my hand and ask why Lillian wasn't smiling anymore. And then, without fanfare, Lillian broke it off. She claimed she'd realized she didn't love him. I think Samuel was relieved, though whether it was because he'd been drawn to me or simply because he'd never truly loved her, I'll never know. Samuel left soon after. Just like that, the summer was over, and the air in the old home felt heavier. Peter stayed. Steady, constant, always there when I needed him, though I fear I took his devotion for granted. Father began writing again, to everyone's surprise. Emily celebrated this by painting her own book, a chaotic masterpiece of flowers, suns, and cats, which she gave to him as a backup in case he forgot his words. As for me, I kept painting. Not just the old home, but that summer, the dinners, the laughter, the way Samuel's eyes softened when he spoke, the kiss that still lingered in my thoughts. I'd started out trying to capture the old home, to fix it in colors and lines. But what I really captured was a moment in my life, my first real heartbreak, my first taste of love, and the last summer of my childhood. Even now, I can walk through those rooms in my memory. The cold stone underfoot, the whisper of the wind in the moat, Emily's small hand slipping into mine. And I know that while I thought I was recording the old home, it was quietly recording me.